Ignatia. So, Ignatia is a remedy that's all about grief. After a breakup, after personal loss of a family member, a close person. Um, Ignatia, people, they sometimes set themselves up for disappointment, as in they don't consider the possible bad outcome of certain situations. So when those situations occur, then all of a sudden they get really upset when perhaps if they had been less idealistic about their situation, they wouldn't be so upset. But this happens quite continuously with different situations in their life where they kind of set themselves up to be disappointed. Ignatia is good for hysteria. So when I was pregnant, uh, my mood swings were all over the place. I was very hysterical at times. And I could have done with a bit of Ignatia at the time, if I'm being honest, because I would cry when my meal wasn't done right. And I would think, you know, what does a girl have to go through just to get food with no salt in it, you know? And I would cry like there was something wrong with the world. But if I had some Ignatia, it would have helped me a lot. So Ignatia is good for women who are having hysterical moments. So when you're pregnant. Also, young girls who go through puberty and they can be quite hysterical sometimes. So Ignatia is good for them when they're going through that period of time as well. Because of the hysteria, Ignatia women tend to be quite dramatic. Like, oh my God, do you know what happened? And like, can you believe what she did? And it's when it's not even really like a big deal. Like, it's not really, like, it's not a big deal, you know? But they will exaggerate and they will have sometimes the big hand gestures and the dramatic face expressions because they're just they're feeling it, feeling the emotion. And, you know, it's just everything is amped up, right? Hysteria. It's very fun. So hysterical women, I mean, women who need Ignatia, they have a fear of not doing enough, that they haven't put in enough work, that they haven't given enough attention to something, that they just haven't done enough. Like maybe there's something that they could have done, something more that they could have done that would have saved a situation that maybe they were being very idealistic about. If you was to have an argument with an Ignatia woman, there would be screaming, hysteria and all of that, and then at the end of the argument she would burst into tears and just be like, oh my God, you know what I mean, just at the end of an argument she would be really upset and it would end with just tears. But she is very secretive emotionally, so she's always sighing, like dramatic sighing, just like something's just not good, and you'll ask her what's wrong and she would just nothing, like, or she might be very vague about her feelings but she won't go into details about it because she has a bit of pride as well, and it's also good for wounding of honor or pride. So again, an Ignatia woman who's very idealistic might, when faced with the reality of things, might have a wounding of that honor and that pride. And so therefore, again, Ignatia would be good for that. Unpredictable because of the emotions and the hysteria, but also Ignatia women have nervous laughter. So there are some people who, when you have to tell someone really bad news and you just That's Ignatia, right? So it's not because they're being rude, but it's because they can't deal with this terrible feeling straight away. It's almost kind of like it's covered by this nervous energy, this nervous laughter that just comes out as laughter, but they're not laughing at the bad thing. They're just, that's just how they deal with it, you know. So that's Ignatia. I have a funny story about Ignatia. um, I had a dream once that I was sitting in a bar having a drink with Princess Diana, and I said something to her, and she went nuts, complete, like it wasn't anything rude. I guess sometimes I can be a little bit sarcastic, but it wasn't anything rude. And she just went nuts in my dream. She like got the whole pub to like pay attention, and I was like, oh my god, like, you know, like what just happened? Like what is going on? And I couldn't believe like how she had just flipped like that, right? And then I woke up in the morning from that dream with like massive cramp in my leg. And that day I went into university, and we learnt about Ignatia that morning, and our teacher gave us an example of an Ignatia personality, which happened to be Princess Diana. And Ignatia also happens to be very good for cramps, muscle spasms and stuff, right? I would assume menstruational cramps too. I hope I said that right. Menstrual cramps, yeah. So it's good for cramps. So I almost feel like when I went to sleep and woke up, it was like a premonition of what I was going to learn that day. But yes, so Ignatia is very good for hysteria, and is very good for women going through the emotional times in their life, and changes in their body, like menopause. Yeah, Ignatia is also good for menopause. So yep, that's Ignatia for you. If you think you are Ignatia or know someone who is Ignatia, do get in touch. It just might be for you. Thank you.